On a solitary hilltop in the Highlands of Scotland stands the eerie ruins of Ruthven Barracks, a place that can trace its origins back hundreds of years. Over that time, the barracks have bore witness to the horrors of war and witchcraft. It is no wonder then that Ruthven Barracks is haunted. The barracks that we see today were constructed in the 17th century on the site of an earlier castle. In the 14th century, the castle was occupied by Alexander Stewart, the Wolf of Badenoch, a ruthless man who became shrouded in folklore. In revenge for being excommunicated, he burned Elgin Cathedral to the ground and ravaged the town with his small army. He became a figure of great fear in the community during his life, which can often be the catalyst for the birth of grim folklore. In folklore, Alexander was said to practice witchcraft in the dark hours with his band of followers, but got his comeuppance when he tried to beat the devil at a game of poker. On a stormy night in 1336, the local villagers saw a lone horseman dressed in black approach the castle. Some of the braver villagers crept closer to see who the figure was, and saw Alexander and the sinister character engaged in a game of cards. The dark stranger inevitably won, and the whole scene disappeared behind a wall of flame. The next morning, the villagers returned to the castle to find it a smoking ruin around which the bodies of Alexander and his followers were strewn. Alexander had been foolish enough to challenge the devil to a game of cards, and had forfeited the ultimate prize of his immortal soul. In the years that followed, right up until the 17th century, when the castle was demolished, Alexander and his ghostly comrades could be seen playing cards with the devil in some dark corner of the castle. Ruthven Barracks were first used as barracks in 1689. It was taken by force twice, once when the garrison surrendered to Bonnie Dundee, the other time being in 1746, when it was overrun by Jacobite troops. During the siege of 1745, one government soldier was killed when he raised his head above the parapet, the only casualty on the government side. His ghost is said to still roam the ruins, and has been described by witnesses as a red-coated soldier bleeding from a gaping wound in its head. Many who visit the barracks experience the feeling of being watched from the windows of the barracks, and at times have reported seeing faces peering down at them. Another common sighting is of a black dog with glowing red eyes, often seen in the old cellar of the barracks. Strange orbs of light are often reported at various locations around the ruins. Some of these orbs are said to be the size of a football and spiral around each other before disappearing. The ghostly figure of a knight in chainmail is another spirit often seen, standing midway down the bank on the west side. This knight has never been seen to move, and stares aimlessly at the marshes below. Visitors also report smelling strong tobacco when no one is smoking. This may be caused by the spirits of two Jacobite soldiers seen standing in the corner of the parade yard, where they smoke clay pipes and speak in Gaelic. A more sinister sighting comes from the base of the hill where the barracks stands. In wet weather, the ground around three sides of the barracks becomes a marsh. On misty evenings, passers-by and visitors have seen a sharp-toothed crone who emerges from the ground to pull unwary wildlife into the depths where it devours them. This crone never emerges higher than her chest and is described as having rotting flesh and empty sockets for eyes. There are many skeptics who outrightly dismiss that Ruthven Barracks are haunted, stating that the vast majority of visitors experience nothing paranormal during their visit, but also claim that most reported phenomenon can be easily explained and the rest simply being made up. But paranormal groups have investigated the barracks and have experienced hearing voices, trying to communicate with them, and of small stones being thrown to get their attention. With such a wealth of paranormal phenomena, Ruthven Barracks will likely be the subject of investigation for many years to come. But whether the barracks are truly haunted or not comes down to one question: do you believe?